During the process of working on the Milwaukee Street project, I was adding doors to my model and stretching those around. I have that dynamic component door where when I stretch it and scale it to a door opening, it actually adjusts the 2D graphic. Well, then I started adding windows, and I don't have one of those dynamic components for a window. So anyway, I thought I'm going to work smart, not hard, and I set the work aside and decided to build a dynamic window component for the Condoc tools. So something to take away from this is that, yes, it is ideal to kind of just stop what you're doing, build your library, find the textures, make the components, just take the time to make the object that you need, because then when you're adding it to every single window opening, it takes that much less time. And also for every single project, I can use this now. And furthermore, I can refine it as well. So this is a good start, and we're going to go a little further with it eventually. So anyway, let me just show you what I mean by this dynamic component. I'll do a quick demonstration here, and then we'll get into some of the setup for getting ready to build a dynamic component. Okay, so these are dynamic doors that we have going on here. So when I stretch this door or scale this door, you can see that the 2D graphic distorts. But when I finish the scale, you can see that now it's rebuilt. So all I have to do is stretch this around and copy it from door opening to door opening, and I can very quickly and easily fill in my door openings without having to build a new 2D graphic for every single 3D object that I have. So that's really a good, simple use of a dynamic component. Now, as far as the window goes, you can see here I've got 3 different window openings. I've got this one here, small, medium, and large. So if I take this window and I make a copy of it, and we'll use the rotate tool. Let's see, actually I got to tap Control, Option on the Mac. Oh, not that. I want to grab this piece, so copy 90 degrees and then move this over here, and we'll drop it in place. Now, rather than having to go in and actually edit this 3D object, and furthermore edit the 2D graphic, I can just stretch and scale this thing because it is a dynamic component. So using the scale tool, I'll scale it over here, and you can see that the frame distorts and then it rebuilds itself. Watch when I scale vertically. You can see that the frame is pretty distorted and then it rebuilds itself. Well, the other thing it's doing right there, if I go to all off, and then let's go to our layers, and let's turn on our, let's see, we're going to need 2D graphic and our windows like that. All right. And this would be windows. Very good. Okay, so there's our 2D graphic, and you can see that the 2D graphic is being rebuilt as well as the 3D object. So the whole thing is one big dynamic component. So when I go in here and edit this, you can see that the 2D graphic distorts and then it rebuilds itself. So that's kind of the benefit of the Condoc window, this dynamic component window. So what we're going to do is just go through the process of kind of the mindset that you got to get into to build a dynamic component. Some of the tricks that I use, I'm really no pro at building these. I understand how to do it, but I usually have to kind of tinker with it to make it work. And then we're going to go through setting up the parts and assign the attributes. So let's, in this demo, or I'm sorry, in this tutorial, let's just take a look at our preferences and our layers, and we'll just get ready to build the component, and then we're going to move on from there. So what I'll do is go to File and choose New, and I'm not going to save any of those changes. And we're just going to start with a nice clean template file here. And the only 2 layers that I really need are the 2D graphic and the 3D object. And of course, layer 0 you can't delete. So what I did here is I selected all of these guys by holding Shift, hold Control, Option on the Mac, and hold Shift again to click down low and select the rest of them. And really, we can trash this because we don't need these layers to be imported every single time. And we'll just move the contents to the default layer. So the only two layers that we're going to need are 2D graphic and 3D object. Now, the scenes, that doesn't really matter. That's no big deal. But one other thing that really kind of held me up was that under Window Preferences, on a Mac this is under SketchUp Preferences, is that you actually have to enable dynamic components on a clean install of SketchUp, or at least a clean install of SketchUp 2016. So you make sure that you go into your System Preferences, again that's under Window Preferences or SketchUp Preferences on a Mac, and on the Extensions tab, make sure that Dynamic Components is checked on. Otherwise, the dynamic components just don't work, and furthermore, you don't have the options to add these attributes. Another thing to keep in mind too is that dynamic components is, or at least authoring them, is a Pro-only feature. So you have to have SketchUp Pro in order to create dynamic components. You don't have to have Pro in order to use it though. So that's just some of the, we went through the uses, and we're kind of ready. We got our clean slate, and so I think we're ready to move on to the next tutorial where we'll actually start laying out our component and building it.